Hey there, MJ friends. We're going to look at a lot of names. Same names as yesterday, but I did add in MedMen and OH, two US names here. I think that's the only changes. So looking on the daily time frame, we don't have a result on the banking vote yet. Remembering that we have to vote here, we have to go to Congress, we have to go to Senate, we have to get signed by the president. I don't think all that's going to happen. I think we'll make it maybe 2 steps of the way, but it's pretty brutal to watch, and they have not voted on it yet. So we'll have to check back later. So we've got the tightening range on CGC broke bull right at the end of the day, but there wasn't enough time left at the end of the day to get any follow through. So we couldn't gauge follow through. We know the volume certainly isn't telling us anything. It's a daily inside bar, but if we look at the hourly time frame, we had the high of 46, or even we could just look at the high. We'll use that, extended hours. High, low, lower high, higher, low, rejected from resistance, bounced right off support, so pretty much a double top. Double bottom, lower high, higher low, bull break at the end of the day over 44.67, but we have to break 44.80 and 44.85 for convincing follow through. So if we can get over those levels tomorrow, then we're going to zoom out to the daily and say, all right, anything under 48.60 is just a daily lower high. We're going to anticipate a daily lower high will come out of this bounce, but it's a good sign for the bulls, just the fact that we didn't all out dump. Once we broke some daily support, the weekly chart is still holding on. Cron had I would say it's a non-reaction to Cron's earnings report. And we did pull back, down 5% today. But the fact that we formed a daily inside bar within the range of yesterday and then closed fairly well for the bulls considering where we opened, I'd call it, yesterday doing a decent job of pricing in those earnings and a pretty good volatility today. But overall, not a whole lot. We needed this daily inside bar to break to dictate short-term direction. If it breaks bullish and we go to over 2074 tomorrow, we're looking for a lower high compared to 2204. And of course, if it breaks bearish, we're looking at the 1922 recent low. But we had a nice amount of volatility. It was all bulls first thing in the morning, and I ended up taking a small loss on Cron as I was anticipating scaling in for a 5-minute higher low compared to the low of the day. And I started scaling in, was planning on entering 2 orders, and there's no red flag here. Right here's your red flag, and the reason that's your red flag is the spike in bear volume. So declining volume, exactly what the bulls want to see, looking for the higher low, and then as soon as that happened, that's your first red flag. So I made an initial entry at 1990, and I had a second order ready to go for the 1960s. And as soon as I saw that volume, I cut that second order and I said, I am not going to enter that one anymore because that's giving me a red flag. So I'm going to keep my position half size, keep it small. And we ended up getting a 5-minute bear flag and a drop down. I ended up exiting for perhaps a 25-cent loss, I believe, which would normally be a day loser rather than a day maker. But because I kept that position small, it was only a half-day loser and not too bad in terms of making back up. Did have one more bullish trade on this bounce that did get slowly going and made back most of that loss. So it ended up being a taco loss on Cron today. But a significant bounce. Hourly tightening range worth watching. So we have our high of the day, our low of the day, lower high at the end of the day of 2045, and then trying to form a higher low. SPY strength at the end of the day helped the MJ sector a bit. Last 20 minutes was all bull for the S&P 500 and definitely helped Cron a bit, but we're going to be watching the daily inside bar. So CGC giving some bullish indications of that hourly range breaking. If Cron breaks the hourly range, both of them are in the same standpoint on the daily, watching the last daily lower high of resistance. APHA and ACB are not confident in this bounce right now. We did not confirm bullish reversal candlesticks on the daily as far as closing with a solid green day. The hourly time frame did get some follow through, but an hourly trend change with a lack of follow through is a red flag to potentially be looking for a bear flag. So we had the low, high, higher low this morning. We did break support by 3 pennies, but then the bulls bought it. We broke resistance by 11 cents and then didn't get much follow through. So we need to see more follow through back up to $10 on APHA because at this point, this is a daily bear flag. And if we were to come down tomorrow and break 956, the low of today, the odds that it's a daily bear flag would increase. So bulls do have to remain cautious. ACB, a lack of follow through. We couldn't change that hourly trend. We had the low of the day, high of yesterday, higher low. Almost a double top, couldn't break resistance by 3 cents. Lost hourly support with a little lower high and lower low. And again, just a lack of follow through. Daily inside bar, just like Cron, but a much weaker close. If we break 907, we're looking at 9 and then 875. So Cron and CGC are pretty similar with their daily setups. ACB and APHA, different in their daily setups, but as of the last couple of days, similar in the sense that we got a bullish candlestick yesterday, trying to set higher lows, and a lack of follow through today, keeping the bulls cautious. TLRY is a lead bear out of the major names, just because it's continuing to set lower highs and lower lows. 5 days in a row of lower highs. Support is 66.26 and 64.45. Bulls need to change that hourly trend in their favor to give a daily higher low, and that just has not been able to happen yet. So OGI, trying to follow through with the daily higher low from yesterday, and we didn't confirm resistance just yet, but we're right there on the verge of it. So we got a tightening hourly range. Higher low is set at 901, and we have to break 925 for the bull break. We got right to it at the end of the day. Break a 925 and 932 tomorrow, and we'll say our daily higher low is clearly established, and we'll watch for the potential of a lower high compared to 991. Shift is on, momentum favoring the bears at the end of the day, but still a level that needs to break to be confident. TRST, daily higher low trying to form here as well, but same thing, a double top at the end of the day. At the high of the day, hourly higher low is 1287. Double top at the high. If that breaks tomorrow, we're going to be looking at, let's get these exact levels with the magnet. So 1287 support, multiple resistance levels, a lot of resistance levels at 1314. That's a quintuple top. And if we can break 1314, we're looking right back up at the 1336 and 1348 resistances. So at this point, this is very healthy daily consolidation. And although it's a lower high and lower low, the lack of follow through, I should say this is the 4-hour time frame. So that means the daily chart is a potential bull flag. Lower high and lower low on the 4-hour with no follow through straight into a bounce means zoom out and look for a potential flag. And that's a potential daily bull flag at this point on TRST. Missing HEXO in here. Let's go to HEXO. That's how I help stay organized, is by grouping these names. The major 5, the tier 2, 3, and then we go on from there. And just the fact that there wasn't 3 names made it stand out that I was missing somebody. So bullish reversal candlestick yesterday, we were looking for the daily higher low to be formed. Out of everybody that we've looked at, this is the most convincing action. Increased bull volume, hourly trend change, no doubt about it. Multiple resistance levels breaking, and this is a inverse head and shoulders on the hourly. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder is the higher low, and then a break of the neckline changes the trend. So it's the head and shoulders patterns just show you trend changes, and it's just a guide for people who can see these patterns more visually as opposed to just looking at price action. So I would look at this price action and say, yeah, absolutely, lower highs and lower lows. There's our higher low, there's our higher high. But some people visually can see it better when looking at it as a head and shoulders. And we got the clear bull break. So 911, 912, little double top, 926 after that. Very significant for the bulls. So the odds of a continuation move, if I'd cover up that volume, it's a very strong bull day, so I would need to look at the volume. But the fact that we had a green Marubozu and a high volume day tells us that the continuation move is more possible than it would be on some of these other names. If you just give me an average volume day and not a ton of follow through, we close at $9 with a little bit of an upper wick, then we're still looking for the lower high. And it still might be the case that we look for that lower high, but just in terms of likelihood, it's more likely when you're seeing these signs for potential continuation as opposed to if those signs and little details were a little bit different. VFF, nice bounce by the end of the day, bulls here. And I was trying to get in on this bounce today. I had a bid set, but I go live at 3:15 till 4 p.m. Eastern, and I pulled my bid because I didn't want to get filled and while I'm not watching and I'm covering other tickers and answering questions. So we did have a really nice volume climax. Bullish reversal doji, there's your volume climax and big time follow through. And that was just overdue. Didn't get the gap down open today. So we got a nice bounce right at the open with a lack of follow through after that bounce. And then we dropped down to lower lows. And the hourly RSI, again, just kissing this oversold level right on the 30 mark and then bouncing. And we broke momentum, or I should say we broke the downtrend. Here's the 15-minute time frame. 1888 was a key resistance. Not a convincing break just yet. Ideal scenario for the bulls would be a 15-minute higher low and then a break of that level. That'd give some bulls who maybe want in that missed it another chance, but that's the left shoulder. That would be the head. This would be the right shoulder, and then that would be the neckline of resistance breaking if we open with a little bit of lower action tomorrow. If not, then the hourly bounce is underway. Congrats to the bulls that did buy that dip. And we would then zoom out and look at some other longer term resistances, most important being the high of yesterday, or actually the high of today, I should say. So 2070 will be a key resistance level tomorrow as to how much follow through the bulls can get, keeping in mind that the daily uptrend has been lost and we're looking for a daily lower high to form on this bounce. Let's see if the 4 hour is clear. So look at that 4 hour chart. That makes you confident if you're a bull. That extended 4 hour RSI approaching oversold with the hourly oversold coming off of all-time highs when you've already pulled back 26%, 27%. That makes you confident looking for the oversold bounce. But again, 4 hour lower high is what we're going to be looking for. Depending on the right market conditions, you know, if we see a green day in SPY tomorrow, and if we see CGC get followed through on its daily inside bar with Cron for the bulls, we could see VFF get a nice, 5% move of follow through before we see these bulls run out of momentum. So it'll be interesting to see how much follow through we get on this oversold bounce, but very clearly that bounce getting underway before the end of the day with that volume climax signal. TGod, lack of follow through at this point. So hourly chart broke resistance with no follow through, which keeps us cautious and has us look for the potential of a little bear flag here. Size of the pullback compared to size of the bounce. Bulls don't have any convincing follow through. Watch this volume pattern. If it's a red day tomorrow, breaking this lower high every day volume pattern 5 days in a row, then that favors the bears for a head down to test the triple bottom of 475. And if it's a green day, then we'll get the follow through we're looking for. Still looking for a daily lower high compared to 581 if we are able to get a shift and some volume behind it. But at this point, you could put this one in the category of ACB and APHA, not convincing follow through, cautious of little bear flags that may be forming. CXXI daily inside bar closed at the low of the day. Red flag is volume, just in the sense that the bull volume saw a big time day. Range of the day for that bull volume was 20%, and range of today with that bear volume higher is 10%. And we ended with an hourly bear flag trying to follow through. So if we break 217 tomorrow, the hourly bear flag confirms, and we look down to 209 as the next level. Daily chart, anything above 184 is a higher low. So that's the must hold support level. And if we break this daily inside bar bearish by breaking 217, we're looking for the daily higher low to then need to form. Keep an eye on volume. Another red day with volume this high would be another little red flag in the short term. CURA, healthy consolidation. So for bulls that didn't want to chase blue sky FOMO after that deal, or I should say after all the news, the CVS news and all that, declining volume is exactly what the bulls want to see here. We're looking for the hourly trend change. We just saw it with HEXO. So HEXO is our guide. We're looking for the daily higher low to form and the hourly trend change and a bounce. So for Cura, if we can hold 1168 tomorrow and break 1230, there's your hourly trend change. If we break 1168, no major red flags. It just means we haven't formed that daily higher low yet. So bulls looking to scale in for higher lows. And at this point, we're 15% below the all-time high, or even a little bit more. So we would have to be cautious of a 4 hour equilibrium and a lower high, depending on where the bulls shift that momentum. Any more pullback from here and an equilibrium on the 4 hour will be more likely than the potential continuation kind of move. MedMen, double top. So if you can't break resistance, that increases the odds of profit taking. So we opened higher today, rejected to the penny off resistance, and then a big time pullback, losing the hourly uptrend, which means 4 hour equilibrium high. Let's see, where's our low of the pullback? All the way down there. So we got our high and low on the same candlestick, lower high or double top, and now we're looking for the higher low compared to 422, and for this 4 hour range to tighten up into the end of the week. So clear rejection. SWEB just continues all-time highs every day. Again, we're watching the pattern with a higher low every single day, pretty much. I mean, there was one little 10-cent break in there, but higher low every day, 9 days in a row. So a break at 26.52 tomorrow would mean daily consolidation to form a higher low. Otherwise, the bulls are just running it. Blue sky breakout, easy movement. Higher low on the hourly was 26.26. We held it with 26.52. Hourly uptrend remaining intact over the last few days, pretty much the entire run, actually. We haven't lost this hourly uptrend since it started, I'd say since $19. We have not lost the hourly uptrend. And psychological resistance levels on the way up. Lead bull in the MJ space over the last 2 weeks. Look at this move. This is why people are interested in the MJ space. Risk to reward, 55% move in 13 days of trading. Less than 3 weeks, 55%. That's some explosive potential. OH, blue sky on site tomorrow or on watch. 11:31, close at the high of the day today. Hourly support. Looking down at 1083, 1084 on the Canadian side. So bulls just fine on the hourly, and an all-time high test looks to be coming tomorrow, 11:31, and then we'll look to 11:50 psychological. IAN bulls buying the dip, long lower wick, daily higher low, 716. We do have earnings approaching. I believe they're April 1st now, but a daily higher low. We need the hourly trend change, and not really a clear hourly trend change. I need to see the bulls break 790 in order to say the daily higher low is clearly set. Support will be 759 and 737. TRUL, so different. This is in the MJ space, but very different in the sense that this consolidation, well, it's not too different, and Kira has been consolidating a couple days, but we're looking for a higher low. This is very healthy. Anything above 1545 is a higher low. We've got declining bear volume, which is exactly what the bulls want to see. I started slowly scaling in to a long-term position, as I've talked about in the past. So I like entering on consolidation rather than trying to chase in FOMO. And we'll see if we can get a shift in the hourly. We need to see the bulls hold 1664 tomorrow and then break 1719 to change the hourly trend and give us our daily higher low. And KHRN, bear break today, but a close at the high of the day and a close over support. 380 is the line in the sand, and we broke it, but we kept closing over it. So I'm going to continue watching how long can we close over it, because this is still very healthy consolidation. When you set a daily lower high and lower low and do not get follow through, you look for the potential of a flag. And, you know, if we were to look at this on the 2-day time frame, certainly still looks like a bull flag potential. So I was planning on exiting on this support break, and you can't use stop losses on the OTC on most brokers. So I was going to do it manually. And when it broke, I didn't want to just pile in because everybody's stops triggered on this break. And that signaled the low of the day. So I'm not trying to jump in on an illiquid name, specifically on the US side, with a market sell while everybody's market selling into that bear break. I was going to sell on the bounce if the bounce was insignificant. Pretty significant bounce. So I stuck around and said, all right, what can the bulls do here? And the moral of the story for me is position size. So because this is a swing position for me and because it's illiquid compared to what I'm used to trading, my order is way small, my position size. I'm talking like 15% compared to my day trading positions. So that allows me wiggle room. I don't care about 5-10 cents on this position. So I was able to sit through that. Whereas, you know, if I don't respect my stop on a full day trading position, it can very quickly get very ugly. So that small position allowed me flexibility, and I'm going to stick around as long as we keep closing over 380. And let's see if we can get some follow through. And I will add to my position because, again, you know, it's small. I'm not going to see any kind of massive gains, but I will add to my position if the bulls prove something, breaking daily resistances previously set. If we break those resistance levels on increasing bull volume and head back to the all-time high, that's when I'll look to add to my position so those gains can be a little bit more worth it. So a new support level established, but again, closes over 380 is what I'm watching at this point. And the bulls want to see a break of 4 and 417. This is the strongest close we've seen in the last 6 trading days. So what kind of momentum can the bulls put together? They want to see more than 1.2 million shares traded tomorrow and a break of $4 ideally. So that's where we stand. Let's see if we've got any updates. Nope. Nothing. So we'll hear about the banking eventually, and we'll see how the prices react to it tomorrow. And I think the market's smart enough to be pricing it in where it's probably going to clear maybe 1 or 2 hurdles, but not counting on it to pass. So I don't think it's a, dump. We're going to see a temporary pullback, in my opinion, if it fails, but I don't think it's an all-out dump. And, this move that we've been seeing is not solely based on this bill, in my opinion. That's that. Have a good day. We'll see you tomorrow. Do good things. Venture time. So now we're in Canyonlands National Park, which is just a couple hours away from Arches National Park and near Moab in Utah. They're all fairly centralized as far as road trips go. So this is another great spot. Nice picture. But this is the kind of spot where it's so expansive and it's hard to believe your eyes when you're looking at it. It's almost like if you were an ant and someone took their hand and put it in some soft sand or some wet sand and left a hand imprint, and that's what you're looking at, because you're up on this overlook and it's just this huge expanse in front of you, but there's these crazy rock formations where water has just carved away over millions of years and eroded, and you could definitely mistaken this for the Grand Canyon in some ways, blurry lizard friend, in a hole. That's a much better camouflage, dude. That's my National Geographic shot of the trip. Good camo. These are those handles, footholds and handholds carved into the sandstone just from usage from the Native Americans thousands of years ago. So really cool to see those still there and to see the paths that they walked on a daily basis. This is where a meteorite crashed, I believe, in the area. And you can see all the different minerals and elements and sand way different there where that crash took place. I want to say that they think this might be the one that took out the dinosaurs, but I don't remember correctly. Gonna have to double check that one, but just a really cool big drop down with some cool colors right off the side of Canyonlands. And there's the rivers carving their way through. And definitely the most epic sunset of the entire trip. Again, just not real. Up to the rocks, it looks real, and then it just looks like a big old painting like they used to do in older movies for backdrops. But yeah, you could watch that every day. There's your meditation. Just sit and watch the sunset for an hour every day. That's all you got to do. So let's see from there, camped there that night, and the campsite, as far as the park goes, is literally like, a walk away from this overlook. And there was a German family, fairly younger couple. They're probably in their early 40s, and they had a kid with them who was maybe 6 or so. And they were biking from Canada to Mexico. And this was maybe a third of the way there. And they didn't have a spot to camp, and it was just me by myself in my camp spot, and it was the designated sites in a developed camp spot. So they asked if they could join me, and I said, sure. So nice to meet people, as always. There are so many Europeans in our national parks. If you go in the summer to national parks, you're going to be looking at, 90%, maybe that's a lie, 80% Europeans, because the national park system is fairly world-renowned. And the United States, as far as what our government has done, I'd say if you have to mark up, top accomplishments, the national park system is definitely up there. So people come from all over the world. They have all different ethnicities and races. And, walking on popular trails, you hear multiple different languages spoken and usually nice and very friendly people. And when you're walking on a trail, make eye contact with people and say hello. It's always awkward when you're just staring at the ground and intentionally avoiding eye contact, there's no reason to be afraid. You can smile at strangers. We'll see you tomorrow.